All of the research has indicated that women should have at least a baseline mammogram in their 40s. Women at higher risk should have annual mammograms. There are certain populations that are at high risk in their 40s, and those are African American women and Latina women. Research has shown that they have a higher mortality rate from breast cancer before the age of 40 than other women do. The American Cancer Society has had guidelines for many years that say that you start screening at age 40, and after age 50 you screen every year. And that is consistent with the research. It's essentially an X-ray of the breast that's used to detect cancer cells at an early stage before you're able to feel them. Women can do a breast self-examination and sometimes detect a lump, but usually by the time you can detect it or your physician can detect it through a clinical exam, it's grown so large that it may have metastases. The X-ray, the mammogram, can find cancers at a much smaller stage, often less than half a centimeter. And it's the smaller the cancer is, the lower the probability that it's metastasized to other places of the body. In 1994, 15 years ago, the National Cancer Institute put out guidelines saying that the same thing, essentially, that women in their 40s shouldn't have a mammogram and that older women should have them every other year. And the director of the National Cancer Institute and I and some others got into a debate about this, and I was invited to write a commentary for the Journal of the National Cancer Institute, which was published in 1994. And essentially what I said in that is they were all, just like these guidelines, they were saying that the guidelines were based on science. They're not. The science would never support this kind of a recommendation. At that time, it was pretty clear that politics were involved. Today, a lot of people wonder if the recommendation isn't based on the healthcare reform debate and saying basically we can save money. It's fine to have guidelines that are put out there for economic reasons, but be honest about it. Say that we're doing it because we can't afford to do everything that we'd like to do in a healthcare system, so we have to cut corners somewhere, and this is one of them that we're recommending. You should have at least a base, for average risk women, a baseline mammogram at age 40. And the baseline is to show what your breast looks like when it's normal, so that as you do annual ones after the age of 50, if there are changes, you compare the earlier mammograms with each new one. And so you have a baseline that says this is what you look when you're normal, and then if something shows up, you'll know that it's something new and different. And so if women at high risk, though, should have annual mammograms. Basically, women should talk to their physicians about their risk and go over their personal history and their family history and decide whether they need just a baseline at age 40 or whether they should have more frequent ones, depending on their own risk and their family risk.